Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Your Money, where we are helping you to earn money, save money, and protect your money. We are talking about tax time. As you know, it is time to get your tax information in, try and get that refund. And you can go it alone. You can get a CPA. We're going to talk about going both routes, the advantages and disadvantages to both. But right now, if you haven't started yet, it is time to prepare your information. And to help us do that is Garrett Wagner, a local CPA. Garrett, thank you so much for once again joining us.
Adam, happy to be back again. It feels like we've talked recently. And I got to ask you, are you someone that gets your stuff in early, or do you wait till the last minute?
So here's the thing. I used to be early because I was incentivized to get it in early, because when I was younger, I would get a refund. Now that I've got this, that, the other, I'm usually paying. And so I don't find myself, I don't see that carrot. I try to get it in as early as possible. And my father is an accountant. So if I don't get it in early, I'll start to get the text messages, the calls, the little pushing. So the good news is I try to have it in sometime in March, because also I don't want to stress out my dad on April 14th. I don't want to be that guy.
That's a good reason, right?
At the line.
And like you talked about before, like how do we keep and protect our money?
Right.
Taxes is part of it. And it was great when we were young. We just got out of college. We got a W-2 for the first time. We made money. We got a little bit of a refund, right? Like you said, you were excited. You know, you wanted $300, made your day. So you filed that return. Now life gets more complicated and it gets stretches out. And then sometimes you mentioned, like, you do it your own, you get some help, you rely on a parent, but it's still important. It's part of that big financial picture to understand what's going on. And it's a lot of work, as you see, I bet. Just keeping track of it and the papers is often the biggest challenge, right? It's not necessarily about the refund or the amount due. It's just the time and effort that goes into keeping track of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you recommend people do that? What's an appropriate? Because you got the paper coming in, you might have the email, you might have stuff at work. What's the best way to do that?
There's a lot of different places. For every person involved, think about for you. Are you a paper person or a digital person? Because whichever way you are, that's how you're going to naturally.
Probably paper.
That's how you're naturally going to do it. So if you're the kind of person where you get something in an email and you want to print it out and put it in a little pile like on your desk, keep doing that, and then you give your dad one big pile of paper.
That's usually what I do.
Where if I get those forms in the mail, the first thing I do is I take a picture with my phone and I scan it in, and it goes digital. That's what I'm going to do, because that's how I keep track of stuff. So for all you out there watching, go with what you know, what you're good at. If you're the kind of person that loves paper, like Adam over here, keep it that way. If you're a little more digital like me, go digital. Your preparer or wherever it is going to work with you either way.
How do you make sure that you haven't missed anything? There isn't a 1099 or a W-2 or some other category that you need to fit into.
Yeah, and this is one of the benefits sometimes of working with a tax preparer or using tax software. A lot of times, if you the same preparer from the year before is going to have a list of, hey, Adam, last year you had 2 W-2s, these interest forms, these dividends, these brokers, all the way down, real estate taxes, charitable donations, medical, etc. We know what you had last year, and once we get the stuff for this year, we're always going to cross-check what's missing from last year. And part of our job as CPAs and professionals is sometimes we can understand why something might be missing. For example, you had a 1099 interest from Bank X, and your mortgage was with Bank X. Now it's from Bank Y. Well, I know that Bank Y bought Bank X, and Bank X is gone. So I'm not going to ask you, hey, Adam, do you have interest anymore from so-and-so? I know it's gone. Otherwise, we're going to follow up with you. That's kind of the job of that tax professional like your dad. What's missing? You don't want to miss it. Now, the good news, I guess, if there's good news with this, if you miss it, the IRS is going to let you know you missed it. And that's kind of your ultimate catch.
Absolutely. And then we were talking before with some of the other CPAs, and I think yourself too, there's been changes to who can or should itemize, which a lot of people have never done because they didn't make enough money, or
the past couple of years, that threshold got so high.
Right.
Once again, the good thing that most professionals are going to do, we're going to do your return both ways. We're not going to charge you more. Because it's a couple inputs in the boxes and the software does it. And we're going to look and see to the federal government, and then for most of us here in New York State or other states, does it make sense? Is it standard or itemized? And we're going to do whichever's works best for you. And if we're going to see if we haven't itemized in the past, and if you're close to that, we might ask you some more questions. If we've got all the information but charitable donations and you're 20 grand away, and in the past you've given $200, we might not ask you, Adam, hey, did you suddenly 10 times your charitable donations? Generally, you'd tell us, like, hey, Garrett, just so you know, like, I made a big donation this year. Because for most of us, we don't make that big of charitable donations, so we don't have that much money. You know, someone making $50K a year doesn't have $20K to give away,
Right.
no matter how much they might love the zoo or the science center or wherever it is.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a factor. A question for you. When it comes to hiring a CPA for a personal tax return, let's say a family, your nuclear family, if you will, what's the price range that people should expect? If they say, this has gotten too complicated, I've been doing my taxes on TurboTax, but I want to make sure for the reasons you mentioned and more, I want to get a CPA. What should they be prepared to pay for something like that?
I mean, you're still going to see a range in town from like one person that works out of their house is going to be the cheapest. A big firm is going to be the most. And those prices might range from $200 to $1,000 for a similar tax return. And what comes with it is the scope, the expertise of those people that do it. Now, for a truly simple one, you're not going to see a big difference from that large firm. And for them, it's not really worth doing that one-off return. But you can shop around, see what's there, and decide who to go with. You know, there's a lot of people who do a lot of good work. And like a lot of industries, there's always somebody looking to do it cheaper than somebody else.
Absolutely. So how do you go shop around? I know that you're part of a very helpful association, especially when it comes to me. I don't know if I've made this clear, but everyone I've spoken with is part of the state CPA association. There's a name for it.
New York State Society of CPAs. Yep.
There it is. And literally to the person, everyone they've recommended has been wonderful. So, I mean, is that someplace you start? It's
a
one of
good
those
place
things.
to start. I mean, some people search online. A lot of people, it's, you know, like anything else, whether it's a plumber, electrician, a lawyer, CPA, you ask your friends.
Yeah.
Right? You could ask someone you know, hey, even snowplow guy, right? Hey, who do you know? Who does it? That's kind of the most place people are looking, because that way it's more personal.
Yeah.
You can search online, and that's the nebulous, but ask someone you know. Because honestly, if someone you know is working with somebody and you ask them, hey, how is it? And they're like, not great.
I got audited last year.
Well, maybe you didn't get audited, but if your response is just like, hey, my interaction with them, Or if they say, you know what, Adam, you work with so-and-so, like, I've used your dad before. He is amazing.
Yeah.
That's who you want to go with. And if it costs you a bit more, it's worth it because they're amazing, right?
Right. And I guess that's the bigger point too, is they can end up saving you money in the end too, right?
Correct.
I mean, if they do it the right way, they might say, oh, well, we can deduct this, or there's this that you're not thinking about with your student loan.
Or
it's not a
other
guarantee.
Parts in your life, asking you questions. Hey, Adam, I see that you've got this going on.
Yeah.
Where are you trying to go with your life? You know, what are those financial roadblocks that are in the way? How can I help you? I see you did this. Help me understand why. Because maybe I can, understanding that, provide you some better advice, right? We all want to save a little bit more. We want to be better off. Accountants and CPAs are a great first resource to help go in that right direction.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about what you need to know if you decide to do this by yourself, because a lot of people do, the websites that are out there, that type of thing. Garrett's going to help us out with that, because at the end of the day, he, like us, just wants to see everyone properly submit their taxes and get what's coming to them and what they deserve. All right, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting. I know that some of you, especially those thinking about doing your own taxes, or perhaps you're already doing your own taxes and you're worried that you're not doing them correctly, have been waiting for this portion of the show. Garrett Wagner joining us again. What happens if someone says, you know what, I've got a simple tax return, I can do this by myself? What are the options out there? What should people know?
There's a couple different options out there. You know, sometimes some communities have free tax services that are done by the AARP or other organizations. Otherwise, there's a bunch of online providers that will let you do your taxes. Now, you've got to pay for that. An important caveat to that, a lot of those you'll see, you know, file it for free or file it cheap. Once you get in there, those costs can really escalate. You know, that free can quickly turn into $400, $500, $600, $700.
Really?
That you need to then compare to having someone else do it.
Interesting.
So really kind of think about that as you go kind of shopping around. They always start out very cheap. And when you add in what you're doing, they can go up from there.
Yeah, it's like getting one of those video games where the in-store purchases
you got your kids are doing that, right?
Of course, come on.
It adds up fast. So you really got to kind of look into that.
That's
and
so
decide,
interesting.
Okay, how much of this do I really want to do? And if I'm going to do this myself, I need to make sure I'm comfortable saying, okay, I've got all the documents. I understand what's going on. And it can be hard as someone that doesn't do this before to know, is something missing or something wrong?
Yeah. Because
the biggest difference, like those softwares that are designed for you and me as just individuals to do the return, they're not really designed for us to check to make sure the work is right. That's not their goal. or the software that we use as professionals,
Right.
it's designed to be accurate and to allow us to make sure what we're seeing and what we do is right. Because one of the hardest things I've learned throughout the years in doing someone's tax return, putting the number in the system is the easy part. Making sure it shows up on the right line in the tax return
That's right.
is infinitely complicated. You know, a prime example, like an IRA distribution.
Mm-hmm.
There are, I don't even know, let's call it 30 different codes that can come with that. The nuances to those codes is a lot. And there's a big difference between a code 4, a code 7, a 1, 2, a Q, so and so. And like making sure you understand that. And if you don't put that in right in the software's not going to tell you. And that's kind of the risk doing it yourself. It's not, hey, can I put these numbers in? It's what am I going to miss that I don't realize is important?
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. So something like TurboTax, I mean, is it government approved, or is it something that it's just been doing it so long that it knows like how to, because I've never done it, because I've had the luxury of working with CPA my entire adult life.
Yeah.
Once you get it done, do they submit it directly? Do you take it yourself and then submit it to the federal government? How does something like that work?
So all the software providers, I don't know if I'd ever use the word government approved. They have to go through certain quality control that really just says like, hey, the data on line 1 of our software will match up to line 1 in the IRS's system.
Yeah.
Whether or not the math to get there is right, they don't approve that.
Yeah.
But essentially those providers are going to say, once it's already done, they're going to electronically submit it to the IRS in all the applicable states.
That's
Past that, that's kind of what they're doing. Now, if their software makes a mathematical error, they may or may not support fixing that. But otherwise, it's really on you as the person that prepares it that everything is right. They're really taking no ownership over what's in there is accurate, because that's on you as the preparer.
Yeah. No, that's the part that scares me, is I know myself pretty well, and I worry about missing something. So the other thing to keep in mind when you hear about these things at the national level, whether it's no tax on tips or car interest, loan interest, things like that, there are caveats too. So I worry that some people are going to go in and think all the tips that they've made, they're going to be tax-free, or their car loan interest definitely going to be covered. But there are specific things they need to know about, limits to the tips.
Correct.
And then the car loans, not everybody's car loan will apply.
Same thing with like Social Security not being taxable. You know, we heard that a lot in the fall. Yeah, there's always, that's the easy soundbite, right? No tax on tips. We then getting into it. What's the threshold, and what's the 3 or 4 criteria you've got to meet to get there? And a lot of times when you do it yourself, you're not going to see the output of what it looks like.
Right.
You're just going to say, well, I put this in, and it says I get a refund or I owe money. You know, and that's it.
Yep.
Now, as a practitioner, we're going to know better to be able to explain that to you. Hey, Adam, here's why you owe this. You know, because here's the rule, here's the law, here's the threshold, here's what you hit. You know, like Social Security limit, for example, to say, yeah, you know, some Social Security is now not going to be taxable. However, you made an additional $300,000 from your retirement, your investment income, your capital gains, et cetera, because your income is so high, you don't qualify for your Social Security not being taxable. It's fully taxable.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. And if that, what Garrett just talked about, interests you, please go back to the previous Your Money episode with Jamie Block. We got into a lot about that, because that's, especially when you get towards retirement age, CPAs can be a huge help of when do you start collecting Social Security? I mean, these are big, huge questions that will impact the rest of your life. So important to get some financial advice.
And that's one of the differences too, is, you know, sometimes we can't do anything about the year that just happened.
Right.
Like no tips on overtime or no tax on overtime. Okay, that 2025 is done. Now for 2026, we can talk to especially some small business owners, some self-employed, some other people. Hey, what's the best way to leverage that in your business to pay the least amount of tax legally? You know, there's things we can do knowing that happened, planned ahead. And that's one of the ones that we can add value as practitioners and CPAs. It's not just the past, but looking to the future.
Yeah. So at the start of this episode, Garrett asked me a very important question that I will then ask you. Are you one who procrastinates, or do you get your stuff in early? If you're one that procrastinates, when we come back, we're going to talk about the downfall, the potential pitfall to that, the benefits of getting in early, and if you do bump right up against April 15th, what you can and should do so you don't suffer any penalties. That's when we return. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. We are talking once again with Garrett Wagner. Garrett, so here we are. You asked that great question. Am I a procrastinator? Right now, not many people are getting their information in, but that's going to start over the next month going into March. Let's say you are good at this and I get my stuff to you in 1 week. What's the potential benefit of that over getting it to you in early April, late March?
So for most firms, regardless of size and location, if you think about this like somebody's making widgets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you doing the news, right? Do you want to be the last story and the last piece in that manufacturing puzzle when everyone's stressed, tired, and overworked? Or do you want to be in early,
right,
where they've got capacity and resources to handle everything? And that's one of the biggest differences. You know, the firm's still going to do it,
mm-hmm.
but it's always going to be better to be at the early end of that busy rush of like, hey, we got fresh people, fresh resources, more time to ask you questions.
Right.
And say, what's missing? What's going on? How do we help you? Versus if you come in on like April 10th, April 14th,
mm-hmm.
April 15th, how much bandwidth do you think there really is
mm-hmm.
to handle your return and go through all the moving pieces?
So true. And could you potentially get the return back sooner? I mean, obviously, if you get it in your information, but like, will it take a shorter amount of
Correct.
time sometimes
100%.
to get it?
100%. If you think about just like a manufacturing plant that's ramping up production in the first month, right? It takes 2 days to get through it. Guess what happens? As more and more come in, those 2 days goes to 5, 7, 14, 20, 30,
mm-hmm.
longer. And then it gets delayed. And then you might kind of worry, what's going on? I can't get a hold of you. Like it's the rush. Like you always.
But for the IRS as well? Is it a quicker turnaround for the IRS if you get it in? Yeah.
Correct. Because their processing time, same thing.
Yeah.
You know, can't imagine the IRS is processing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of returns through
mm-hmm.
their system a day. So if you get in early, like in February, you might get your return in 7, even 15 days.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Well, because
yeah,
they're processing that busy and backlogged.
Right.
You wait till early April, and it might be 3, 4, 6,
mm-hmm.
8, 10 weeks for them to process all that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of it's automatic, but it's not all automatic nowadays. So
mm-hmm.
you got to worry about the same thing of like mailing your payments and your checks to them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they perfect? No.
Mm-hmm.
Are they better early on? Yes. The closer you get to the deadline, are they more prone to make a mistake because they're overworked and tired? Yes.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. So it's April 14th and this is not going to happen. What do you need to do in that moment?
File an extension.
And is that acceptable? Will there be a ding to anything?
No. I mean, I was telling you, with an extension, the IRS does not care in any way whether or not you file an extension. Right? That doesn't register with them. That's not a flag. That's not a concern. It's totally fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. If you're not ready, and it's better to do it sooner than later just for your own peace of mind mm-hmm. and your practitioners. The one caveat with the extension,
right?
If you owe, an extension is an extension of time to file the return.
Right.
Not an extension of time to pay.
So do you still have to pay by April 15th?
Yes.
But how would you know?
Then you have to estimate. Then we're going to kind of say, hey, Adam, last year you owed $3,000.
Okay.
What changed? It's April 15th at 4, and you call me and say, hey, Garrett.
Yeah.
My dad can't do this. I didn't get it to him. I need some help. I'm going to say, okay, that's great. What did you owe last year?
Mm-hmm.
You say $3,000. Anything change? Not really. Pay $3,000 in right now.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, there's only we don't have time to do your return.
Right.
We don't have time to figure it out. We'll get it done as quickly as we can, is what I tell you. But yes, an extension is an extension of time to file, not an extension of time to pay.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that most people don't understand and realize.
All right. Any last words of advice for folks out there who are just starting to think about this?
I mean, same thing as every tax time. Do it sooner than later. Get your stuff, get organized, see somebody, your dad, CPA, accounting firm, sooner than later, and get the ball rolling and get the stress out of your life.
Very good. Garrett Wagner, always a pleasure.
Adam, thank you very much.
You say things in a way that makes it sound easier.
So easy, right? So easy.
It might actually be. But we really appreciate your time, and we hope to have you back on very shortly. Garrett Wagner, a local CPA. If you're in the weeds and you need some help, the list of people, whether it's Garrett or Jamie Block, look them up. Find out where they work. Give them a ring. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help. And I hope that you find these episodes, this series, Your Money, helpful. And if you do, please tell your family and friends about the Rochester First streaming app. You can download it to most smart TVs. You get this show, you get Adam interviews, you've got Dad Brown, our weather team, our newscasts, and you can do it and watch it anywhere you want. Really convenient stuff. We're very, very proud to offer it, and we hope that it becomes a big thing, and that's going to happen with the help of you. All right, everyone, take care.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 on demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.